Okay, let's make some mixes. We've already made our toner mix, we've already made our background mix, and we've already made the background mix without the toner added to it for the back of the glass chimney for that area. This is some the toner that I made that I had just a little bit too red, but I saved it because if I need it, then I can make some more toner by adding some more Hansa Yellow Sapphire and Hansa Yellow Light, which I did to make this the gray-green that we needed it to be, because I had this a little bit too red. And if I don't use it, I'll always just put that in my yuck jar. So we have some other basic mixes that we need to make. Let's see. I painted my background on, and I've also traced on my table line, and we'll get to that in the next video. But also, if you're using a box or anything that has another part of the area, there's a yellow background mix for the bottom of your box, and that's yellow deep and warm white. And I'll mix that for you here in a few minutes, but we're going to mix some more things. On page 9 of your instructions, it has right here a section that says basic mixes, and we're going to mix these because these are going to be used in all through our mixing and all through our painting. So let's do these first. Okay, so these are the mixes we're going to make now. So we're going to start with pale blue, and we need titanium white, ultramarine blue, burnt umber, and red violet and naphtha red. So that's a lot. So let's get red violet, naphtha red, let's see, burnt umber. Now I need to stand up and get the ultramarine blue and the titanium white. Okay, my white's just about empty, so I'm going to knock some of it down. Okay, so our formula says titanium white, 1 part, and I have some titanium white here just kind of sitting around in my palette, so I'm going to go ahead and use that. Okay, so there's 1 part of white, and next is blue. This is also almost empty, and it's a touch of blue, so it's going to, that's more than I need, so I'm going to move most of that over. Let's move that over to the edge of our palette. I may need it for something else. Okay, so here's just a touch of. And then I need a touch of burnt umber. So let's also put this over the edge of the palette. And I'll just pull over a touch of. Alright. And our next is red violet and naphtha red. So I'm sorry. Okay. So we'll get a touch of each of these, and then we'll mix this for our pale blue. This looks violet-y to me. This looks like a red violet. Now we know, because we know our pigments, and we know that ultramarine blue is a weak tinting pigment. So I'm going to pull a little more of that ultramarine blue over here. Let's see if we can pull that away from the red into the blue. That is helping. Got kind of a nice lavender now. I'm going to bring just a little more blue over. And I think we're getting there. Okay. Instead of continuing to mix into that, I just added some white and took a tiny little bit out of there, and then add some blue in. See, it's not hard to adjust your mixes. But one thing that you want to remember is not to continue dumping paint into a pile that's entirely too dark, and that, you know, you'll just end up with a huge pile of something that you really don't need. So I'm making sure that all of the colors.
What's up with the badly wrapped pork chops?
Sorry, it was a cooking bag. So I'm making sure that, you know, all those colors are included in this, because I took my white and I brought over some paint from that pile and then put more blue in, and now you see the difference. I had way too much reds in here, not enough whites, and just putting the blue in was just not, it was helping pull it toward the blue, but was not getting us the color we needed. So I put white in, pulled a little of this color over and put some more blue in, and now we have the color that we need. So I'm going to put this, I'm actually going to put it here where my white had been.
We need to be talking again.
Okay, right there is our pale blue. And I'm going to pull this over to the side. That's probably going to be bound for the yuck jar. Okay, so we've got our pale blue. Now let's go and make our warm white. So I'm going to kind of wipe this. Okay, so we're going to make warm white and start out with titanium white. And it's going to be 1 part to 1 touch. So there's our white, and I have some hints of yellow over here, so I'm just going to pull a tiny little bit. And even though I only had a tiny bit, I didn't put it all in at once, or we'd have had to have the same trouble that we had with this mix. So I'm just going to pull a little more of that in there, but I'm still not going to need all of it. And you'll see this white change into just a very, very pale yellow white, and that's a warm white. Okay, and see, I still didn't use all of that yellow I had. So let's pull this over into our wet palette right next to our pale blue.